At nagbabalik mga kasambahay ang Doctors on TV. Mga kasambahay, ang topic natin this morning is about nutrition in our children, as well as deworming. Panoorin muna natin ang video na ito.
Isa sa karaniwang public health concern, lalong-lalo na sa mga bata, ay ang pagkakaroon ng parasitic worms infection o pagkakaroon ng bulate. Kaya naman kapag sumasapit ang buwan ng Hulyo, isinasagawa ng Department of Health ang second round ng Deworming of School Children Program. Layunin ng nasabing activity na mas mapalawak ang kaalaman ng publiko sa pag-iwas sa mga parasitikong ito na may malaking epekto sa kalusugan ng mga bata. Sa pag-aaral ng mga dalubhasa, lumalabas na 62% ng mga bata sa Metro Manila ay positibo sa mahigit sa isang intestinal parasites, samantalang nakapagtala naman ng multiple infections sa mahigit 34% ng mga bata. Ang pagkakaroon ng bulate ay maaring mauwi sa mga komplikasyon gaya ng malnutrisyon. Kaya ngayong umaga, ipapaliwanag ng mga eksperto kung bakit nga ba kinakailangan nating i-deworm ang ating mga anak.
And of course, to help us understand this very interesting topic, we've invited a special guest from the Medical City. She is Dr. Reodica. She's the head of the Medical City Pediatric Weight Management Program, the head of the Medical City Pediatric Feeding Difficulty Evaluation and Management Services. She's also the head of the Clinic's Pediatric Multi-Specialty Clinic Center for Wellness at the 6th floor of the Podium Building, the Medical City Ortigas Avenue, the Medical City Clinic Trinoma, Quezon City, the Medical City Clinic Light Mall, Mandaluyong. Ang dami yung mga hospitals na pinupuntahan tsaka clinic. Please welcome Dr. Reodica.
Good morning.
Good morning,
Good morning,
Dr.
everyone. Good morning.
Thank you for joining us.
Good morning. Nice to be here.
It's always nice to be with us, ano?
Oo, masaya dito
Yes,
sa
it is.
masaya tayo dito sa UNTV.
Masaya.
Chill lang tayo, relax.
Especially na very beautiful na lahat ng girls.
Yes.
Siyempre akong tuwang-tuwa dyan sa ganyan.
Mahal na mahal ka naman namin eh.
So, Doctor, we're talking about nutrition in general and how it could be affected by mga bulate or mga worms and the need
Right.
for deworming. Ano bang nutritional status ng mga bata natin? Nag-i-improve na ba tayo?
Well, actually, alam naman natin na parang ang mga Pilipino ngayon, they're still worried about putting food on the plates, no, of their
Okay.
family. So that actually reflects what kind of nutrition our children has. So, noong 2013, nagsagawa yung National Nutrition Survey. And what they found out was a little sad, yung information. They found out na despite the efforts of the government, talagang nag-increase pa yung undernourished kids.
Undernourished.
Yeah, yung, especially those who are aged 0 to 5. So, parang nag-increase pa by 1% despite the efforts of the government. So, that's something that, that needs to be worked on.
So, anong current percentage na para?
So, 7.9% ngayon
7.9.
from 6 before, nung 2008 when they did the
That's
survey.
very significant.
Yeah, 1%. Especially, marami tayong mga programa sa gobyerno, like yung mga feeding programs natin, mga information dissemination. So, despite that, talagang, tumataas pa rin yung But one thing interesting about what they found out doon sa survey na yon was, despite the fact na tumataas yung malnutrition natin, yung overweight and obesity medyo pataas na rin yung yung rate. So talagang that's what we call yung parang double burden malnutrition.
Yes.
So we're still taking care of the undernourished, but for those who are overweight and obese, pataas na rin yung rates nila.
Oh,
Okay.
So,
very abnormal.
yeah,
Yes.
so talagang double burden for the
So,
Philippines.
porkes inaisip nila na chubby na mataba, healthy.
Right.
That is a form of malnourishment pa din.
Malnourishment.
Right.
pa din.
That's what we always tell our parents, no? Parang giving them a lot of food is not equal to giving them quality food. So it's actually the quality of the food that they need.
Ano bang sukat nila para masabi nila na 7.9% of children are undernourished?
Ang mineasure nila doon is yung weight ng patient at saka yung height nila. So,
Okay.
for you to say na you're healthy, your height and your weight has to be proportionate.
Alright.
Yes.
There are some kids kasi na parang they're very tall, so dapat
Mabigat.
proportionate yung weight nila.
Alright, so yan ang measure. Bakit sila ganyan, Doktora?
Well, majority of the risk factors for undernourishment, when we call sa malnourished, sila, poverty would be the primary
Okay.
reason. Illness could also be a reason for the undernourishment. And of course, lack of information, lalo na dun sa mga rural areas natin. Talagang the information dissemination is not as good as here in the urban areas. So that translates into, let's say, ineffective feeding for kids. And we have what we call parang the first 1,000 days of life. And that's actually a very good window period for these kids. So from conception until about 2 years old, very important yung nutritional status ng kids. So if they're undernourished during that time period, that will translate to how they will be when they're adults.
When they're adults,
Yeah.
that's true.
So very
Okay.
important yon.
So it's really a lack of, yung poverty siguro kasi walang mabiling food.
Right.
Although these kids should be breastfeeding at that age, di ba?
Agree. So, isa din yan sa mga parang pinopromote natin. Kasi in the rural areas, ang thinking nila, if they buy, formula, it's much better for their kids.
Okay.
So, parang the information of promoting breastfeeding and telling them that's actually the best food that you can give to your child from 0 to 6 months and onwards, no? Parang yun yung kailangan nating i-promote sa kanila.
But on the other hand, no, na-mention ni Doktora earlier na tumataas din ang mga obese na mga bata. So it's not really primarily kakulangan sa pera, no? Kasi may pambili ng pagkain
Right.
sa mga fast food.
Tama po yan. The fact na yung may mga pangbili naman, ang nagiging misinformation is because most of these parents kaya may pangbilis because they're working. So it's actually easier for them to get food that are from the fast food, no? Hindi yung home prepared. So doon tayo nagkakaroon ng parang problema.
Okay. And then we move on to the topic of intestinal parasites, yung mga bulate. Malaking factor ba yan sa Philippines?
Actually, malaking factor siya, and it's actually one of the factors that will, one of the risk factors for malnutrition din. Kasi it affects nutrition in the, it's said na actually worldwide ang problem natin when it comes to parasitism, no? But more in the tropics, so yung mga developing countries and yung may mga climate like here in the Philippines, so doon tayo nagkakaroon ng problem.
Ano bang intestinal parasite, Doktor? Paano ba yan nakakapasok?
Okay. So we have several parasites. The most common would be what we call the roundworms, no?
Okay.
So yung roundworms, you could either get it from, let's say, not washing your hands properly before you eat, or if you have, like, let's say, fruits and vegetables na raw, na hindi mo na-wash ng mabuti. And of course, going around barefoot. So kasi pwede silang mag-penetrate sa skin, eh. So
Okay.
that's one of the,
So hindi lang oral pala yung root?
Yes.
Okay.
Oo.
Pwede, no? Yung mga bata na naglalakad without chinelas.
Oo. That's correct, no?
Paano naman, Doktora, nakaka-affect sa nutrisyon ng mga bata, yung worm? Halimbawa, marami siyang worm, hindi na deworm. How can that affect the status ng kanyang
nutrition, no? So
nourishment?
like we said, parang it's parang what the worms do kasi they're parasites. So they feed off the host, no, without giving benefit to the host. So first of all, kinukuha pa niya yung nutrition ng bata. The little that the child gets in, parang nakukuha pa niya. Secondly, because they're there in the intestines, they create some sort of inflammation. At so,
Okay.
hindi masyado ngayong ma-absorb yung nutrients. So, yun yung mga causes ng malnutrition when we talk about,
Pero hindi lang, Doc JM, Doc Lady, mga bata ay tinatamaan ito. Doktora, sa panahon ngayon, meron pa bang tinatamaan na matatanda?
Meron. Adults are not exempt from this, no? So, parang important din na, matetest at matitreat even the adults. Kasi they're the ones who are taking care of these kids, So, important din yun.
Sila din yung prepare ng food.
Yes, pwede
correct.
mailipat, no?
That's correct.
Posible.
That's
Okay, hindi ako tumataba. Kain naman ako ng kain. Hindi ako tumataba.
Baka meron palang
Papadeworm
kahate.
na ako.
Ito, sweating lang yan.
Swerte.